Special welcome to all our listeners, and I am very excited today to be in conversation with a young woman who is a trailblazer, and she is joining me all the way from Zambia. Pendo, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I am truly excited to just have a youth, who is trailblazing in the IT space and who is very knowledgeable in the field. I really enjoyed our conversation before we started recording, just to get to hear about the journey that you have walked to get to where you are today. Please, can you just tell us, as a way of starting our conversation, tell us who you are and the journey that you have walked, and what you currently do in the position that you hold in your company.
Thank you, Sarah. That was a very uh, wow introduction. And just to get right into my introducing myself, I'm Pendo Manjele. I am based in Zambia and currently working at one of Zambia's leading commercial banks and the space of data. Um, I am a computer scientist by training and later branched into data science out of interest. So to just maybe shed more light on like my career and personal background is I graduated in the field of computer science from the Copperbelt University, and then later got a job into started my career as a software engineer. And it was exciting. I was looking forward to building applications, but I think I still had that passion to add value, like impact, make business impact. So whilst working as a software engineer, I really enjoyed the work, but I felt like I wanted to really directly impact the value from the front as well. And I later decided to branch into data science, which allowed me to use technology and also have that business acumen to bring out value and drive change within organizations. Yes, I'm also a student in the space of data science. Currently studying applied statistics with data science at the University of Strathclyde. And I also, like outside work, I'm passionate about enabling the tech ecosystem. And my most recent experiences have been with the Developer Circle community, which is a community of developers where we come together, share knowledge, and just learn and grow together. I think it's been very exciting to see the community grow over time. From 2017, when we started with two other colleagues of mine. We're like less than 50 members, actually less than 20 members, and now we're like 4,000 members. And so for me, that's exciting to see the tech ecosystem in Zambia evolve and just the impact that the community has on the young Zambians. And other than the community, I'm also part of the co-founders of the Agile User Support Group, which is a community that creates a platform where different agile leaders come together to share knowledge and experiences and also provide mentorship to those who are interested in moving to agile ways of working. And this was inspired after the pandemic. We saw most businesses struggle and also individuals struggle with navigating change. And so three colleagues of mine who actually we actually never met when co-founding the community. We just met online and said, hey, can we do this for Zambia? And we co-founded the group, and it's been a success so far, and we're looking forward to more wins. And finally, my other last experience is also with the Women in Tech Network. I'm avidly passionate about creating a gender balanced tech environment. From my experience, it's been such an imbalanced environment where the ratios are very disproportional, and So how can we bring in more girls? How can we inspire more girls? And also, how can we support one another and create the change that we want to see? So, yes, that has been that's me in a nutshell.
Beautiful, beautiful. You've already had a colorful career, young as you are. So currently, you work as a what? A data scientist and analyst. What's your current position in your bank?
Data analyst. Data, yes, I'm a
Fantastic.
data and analytics senior specialist. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you are one of my youngest guests so far on this podcast, and I am intrigued. I want to know what your aspirations are. You are young, you are trailblazing, you are in the right industry. Tech is the future. What are your aspirations?
That's a very, that's a very interesting and scary question, because sometimes when I think of like what I when I look at my goals, sometimes they feel too big to carry. But I think one thing that always inspires me is that if your goal is to if your goal doesn't scare you, it's not a goal that's worth um, living for. So, my aspiration is to become a leader in data analytics. And some of the opportunities that I see in the very near future are positions of CDOs, which have actually opened up in other mature organizations. But I see that opening, like I see that coming up in the very near future for most organizations. And from CDO, I also aspire to become CEO. And um, I feel data digital is the future. And this ideology of digital transformation in every sector, like you look at even just the government, every industry is looking at how can we go digital, how can we transform, how can we make work more efficient using digital technologies, how can we make better decisions using data, how can we serve our customers better using data. So um, there's that gap between the business and technology that's being bridged together. But who bridges that? Data scientists, people that have the knowledge of both data and technology. And so I see roles that are tech and business centric evolving into CEOs, because you have that knowledge of how technology works and how business is impacted. So that's I do aspire to become CEO or founder.
Beautiful, beautiful. May those aspirations become a reality. Let's now get into our technical conversation. You are very, very passionate about ethics in data. Let's start by defining what artificial intelligence is and how has AI evolved over time.
So AI is, it's such a buzzword, and to be honest, in my own personal view, is AI is just using is the sense of simulating human behaviors in computers. So how people think, how humans action knowledge, so using huge volumes of data, of course. So it's how people learn, how people solve problems, and how can we simulate that in a machine that can actually work 24/7. So AI is just simply simulating the human mind into a computer. Um, in terms of evolution, it has actually evolved. And I think this is a story that I always like to share about how I was a Spy Kids fanatic growing up. So I used to watch a lot of science fiction, which was Star Wars, Star Trek, and also Spy Kids. But in all those movies, it was fiction, and I would be intrigued by the robots, the flying spaceship, the touch screens, and all those things were just like stereotypical. This is magical. But then, as we got caught up with time and as technology evolved, we started seeing touch screen phones. We have tablets now. We are seeing robots now serving us in different cafes, right? And for me, that's how what evolution actually looks like, from imagining something as impossible and now seeing it as a reality, like it's not fiction anymore, it's the reality. And there's so much more that um, AI is yet to evolve to. Um, Another example that I'm always in awe of is, um, we always have these, we imagine, like, the mind, we always imagine something like, I wish I could just sit here and ask, like, like, I wish I could just sit here and have all my doors locked in the house. Those are some of the things that we just think of, like, I don't want to get up. I don't feel like doing anything. But today, with AI and also IoT, I can sit on my chair and ask my lights to go off, as long as they're powered by, they have this intelligent behavior. So if you can imagine it, it can be. That's one ideology that I've come to live with, especially after navigating the space of tech, AI, and how it's transformed over time. And to be honest, when you also just think about it, uh, AI is not something that's new now. 50 years ago, people were still building, using, like, it's not like people have become smarter or have invented the most complex programming languages. It's just the computing power has increased, and also the storage as well. That was a limit to building all these complex AI models, because computing power and storage is important. Back then, you had to have a whole room full of computers for you to process huge volumes of data. But now you can just have everything is on the cloud, like you can just have your mobile phone or your small laptop here actually processing huge volumes of data at a time. So the evolution has also been powered by the developments in computing power as well as storage. And I see this too, like AI is here to stay, and daily we're all interacting with AI knowingly and unknowingly. Even right now, probably our information is being captured, and before you know it, I'll get receiving these ads because it's a learned behavior. How does Pendo, what is Pendo doing today? Okay, she's on StreamYard. Okay, can we send her target ads? Can we personalize the offers that we're sharing with her? Language translation, back then, human connection was not possible, because it was possible, but language was a barrier. If you can speak French only and I can speak English only, that our communication was not going to be as effective. And so human connection was, the human connection became a challenge. But now I can use my phone, speak in English, my phone can translate to French, and we can have that connection. While this is still a work in progress, and I think with natural language process evolving, I think it's really, really, great strides have been made. And I see the future of AI becoming even more scary, but also exciting. And even as AI evolves, I think even us as human beings, we need to be very much aware of the basic literacy of what AI really means. What does it mean for me to actually provide this information, to me to interact with a robot, So the evolution has been quite an exciting thing to watch.
Beautiful, beautiful, and well explained. I know you've touched a little bit about the impacts of AI. Let's just dive more into that. What are the impacts of sides, the and the negative side?
Yeah, so I think each of us experiences, like I mentioned, we experience and contact AI every day, and we reach for the possibilities spontaneously without even realizing that that's AI. So even someone who doesn't know AI is actually interacting with AI right now, but they don't know about it, right? So, like the success that I see in creating an effective AI could be the biggest event in history, or it could actually be the worst. We just don't know yet. You know, there's still a lot of research and development going on in there, and um, on the positive side, like no one, even AI, whoever, like even AI, the invention was for good, but there's also going to be the bad side, people who want to use it for malicious gains. How can we intercept the power that this AI has to um, for personal gain, and at the end, creating malice in society? So on the positive side, I must say great strides have been made in the healthcare industry, um, in how diseases are being detected, how prediction of like early medical diagnosis. I was reading a paper on how using computer vision, you're able to detect cancer in its earliest stages, and that's almost been impossible with a human only like human only in the human form. So humans would always detect it maybe at a later stage once it's developed, but with AI using computer vision, you're able to analyze cancer at an early stages, and that creates a promise for the future, because cancer in its early stages can actually be treated effectively. So in the healthcare industry, there's a lot of research going on in how AI, machine learning techniques can be used to actually better the healthcare industry. And I also talked about language translation. I think for me, that's always what I'm in awe of, because each time I travel, sometimes I would want to visit the local markets, have conversations, or purchase stuff, but then there's always a language barrier. So you'd be in East Africa, and you want to communicate. So instead of going around and trying to use sign language, with natural language processing and applications that are powered by AI, I could actually just say something in English and it translates to the equivalent of the language that I'm trying to communicate in. So with that evolution of how AI is able to understand language and translate it to the equivalent of what you want it to be, I think it becomes a very powerful tool for creating and enabling social connection. Because at the end of the day, we're a global community, right? Language should never be a barrier for us to interact, do business, converse, and form or build relationships. But with AI, it's made it so possible. It's making it possible. And I think even in the near future, it will become more seamless. With I think I saw something like a pod where if someone is speaking something in a different language, you can actually listen in the language of your choice. So that's interesting, but that's all powered by a lot of data, a lot of learning, because AI has to learn and it's not always perfect. So sometimes you'd be like, oh, what is this trying to communicate? So it's by powering with more data. And I think we're not short of data in this era, because every day we're adding a bit of data to our personal records through surfing the internet, through interaction with digital channels, etc. Maybe two more other positive impacts that are also of interest to me is in forensics and also fraud detection. That's anomaly detection. So um, some of the challenges in the financial sector is fraud, and also fraud. So and also in forensics. But the challenge that's there is you'd have a billion or million records, right? But in those 1 in a million records is what you can consider as an anomaly. So if you have to train your machine learning model with, say, 1 million records are right, or these are normal records, like this is a normal transaction or a normal record, and then only one in that transaction is an abnormal record. So if you're training your machine learning model, you always have to ensure that there's that bias in your data. Like, it won't learn anything from one record. So how can you create more of that one record so that the next time you have a similar event, it's able to pick it out due to a certain pattern? So Like I said, it requires more data. Also, you also have to know how to actually like understand the patterns. How do these patterns? How what does an anomaly look like? And in if you think of it, as humans, you really can't pick out certain anomalies, you know? It's like you have these million records and they tell you which one is different. You have to go line by
Mm.
line, manually interrogating those numbers. But with a machine, within seconds, with the right tools and computing power, you'd be able to pick out those that are looking suspicious, you know? And in turn, this ends up now creating how can we mitigate those problems? How can we? So it's like you're picking out fraud in real time. But in some cases, you find that even in forensics, you know, how can you find an anomaly? What doesn't look right in this pattern or in this series of data that we have? So with AI, it gets to learn because it keeps learning, you know, like it keeps learning on the data.
Mm.
It keeps going line by line, learns how this is, another line learns how this is. By the time you're actually giving it more data to work with, it becomes even more intelligent and more accurate. And it actually enables efficiency and also helps you mitigate certain risks that come in with doing things manually as humans. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you for bringing a very practical explanation. So I know that you focused a lot on the positive. Do you have any negative impacts that you'd want us to explore?
Yeah, you know, with yeah, actually, and that's the scary side of AI, right? Is there's negative. So whilst there are positives, I think it's always important to be aware of what dangers or what ethical issues might arise from
Mm.
the growth of AI. And I think one of what I'd like to point out is around the invasion of privacy. So privacy generally in any environment, well, at least here in Zambia, it's a basic human right. Um, my information, unless with my consent, cannot be used for um, any gain, business or personal gain. I have the right to sue you if you use my information without my consent. But AI might lead to the loss of privacy in future. I have noticed that so there's two different ways in which data is collected, right? It can be collected explicitly by asking me to fill out a form, and implicitly by me interacting with digital channels or applications or surfing the internet. But usually in our human form, we just say yes to certain conditions. Yes, yes, yes. And before you know it, you're agreeing that your data can be used for experimentation. You're agreeing that you can receive ads that you're not interested in. You're also agreeing that your data can be used to actually manipulate you into a behavior that you actually don't want or a behavior that you're actually trying to run away from, you know. Um, Another thing is that with privacy today, it's very possible to track someone because of computer vision. So latest technologies like facial recognition can allow you to spot someone in a crowd. Oh, there is Pendo. She's in um, Pendo is in Nairobi in a huge crowd. Facial recognition, right? So it picks out that information. But maybe I don't want that information to be public. But it's they would call it security, but there's always there's a very thin line between crossing privacy boundaries and also being using AI for the purposes that it has been created for. So those data gathering abilities actually are making AI such a powerful tool that in the next decade or so, we will be an AI powered will be an AI powered world. You know, I was also reading something about how China is currently working on a social credit system that will be powered by AI. So this will give like the citizens a score based on how they behave. So it's like you're being tracked. Yeah, okay, this is like my facial recognition is able to identify, okay, this is Pendo. How does she behave in the public? Okay. Is she parking in wrong places? Is she smoking in non-smoking areas? Is she playing loud music in on a train, or is she behaving in a way that's not in line with a certain conduct that we have? And now that data might be used to give you a score. So if you have a high score, you can easily get loans, whatnot. But with a bad score, you might be restricted in accessing public facilities, school places. It also might put a ban restriction on you. So it's a study that I was just reading about. So I was actually very interested in knowing how um, just getting to know how powerful AI will be, that it will also start influencing our human behavior and how
mm,
authentic we actually bring ourselves. Because
mm,
sometimes you want to be in a public place, be free to dance, be free to sing, but that might be a way of impeding the natural human behavior, because you feel like you're being watched, you know. So privacy is a very huge concern. And another item might be, I think there's also another, like a spoken of conversation around loss of jobs. Will AI take our jobs?
mm,
While I do not entirely agree with that to a huge extent, AI will obviously take over jobs that were performed once by humans, and we are seeing that. So whether we agree to it or not, it will. So, a report that I actually read by McKinsey, I think, they projected that about 800 million jobs will be lost to AI. So, who wouldn't want, at the end of the day, businesses are into this to make money. You get it, huh?
mm,
So,
mm,
why would you want to pay when a robot can do something for you? Invest in a robot once, it can do something for you, and it will do it overnight without getting tired, without complaining. And if you can do it overnight, you'd rather have a robot or an automated process do certain processes for you than start looking for talent or hiring. It's expensive. So companies will invest in AI to enable efficiency and also improve their productivity. But this will be only in roles that are highly repetitive, that do not quite require human intuition. And I feel like that's why it's very important that even as humans, we evolve and align with AI and be in harmony with AI and say, how can we work with
mm,
technology to create
mm,
our best work? Like it's here to stay. Like we can't
mm,
fight. Technology is here to stay. So it's a matter of us as humans also now saying, how can we work in harmony with technology? How can we leverage on technology to create our
mm,
best work? You know, technology doesn't have, like, AI is not doesn't have an intuition, that gut feeling. So as a human being, you will sense and say, okay, at this point, you sense if it's a new situation, you'll be able to react in a very objective way. But with AI, if it's a situation that's new, um, it's prone to error. But then we still need that human part to for AI to be successful and to produce the results that we're looking for going forward in the future. But yeah, and maybe just another, maybe like autonomous weapons as well, even terrorism. We might it AI terrorism and also
mm,
autonomous weapons. Those are some of the ethical concerns around AI, and also bias as well. I see some companies use AI systems to grade interviews, and you find that for higher positions, leadership positions, especially in tech, there is bias in the data because very few women are in leadership positions. And so it will I how
mm,
does how is bias treated, how does it differentiate, and how does it like bias in terms of not only on the women and on the gender side, also in terms of minority, black people, people of color, and people that are different, that have never that who AI has actually never, like, have never whose data point is not in the database of the system, the platform that the AI is using. So I feel like whilst we're still making strides and the AI is doing such an amazing, incredible job, I think bias is also such, I think, a consideration, like how that needs to be really taken into account when using AI. Like we still need the human mind as we navigate and use our AI powered technology.
Excellent, 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 excellent. So then the next question would be, seeing all these ethical concerns with regards to the advancement of artificial intelligence, what do ethics really mean in the context of AI? And how can we know that artificial intelligence is ethical?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. So ethics are just ethics as we know them, right? A set of moral principles and techniques intended to inform development and use of responsible AI. So in any environment, we need to have certain rules and laws and ethics that govern how we relate, how we treat one another, to ensure that there's that um, equality, that is not favoring um, one group over the other. And this, like, reinforcing that really is not something that's really been standardized up to this point, because we're all interacting with the same AI. So are we going to segment the AI such that if I'm in Zambia, I'm going to follow the moral standard and ethical standards that Zambians follow? And we'll also segment it for South Africans that their moral standards, because what's morally right here is not morally right in South Africa. What's morally the moral or ethic governances here in Zambia might not be the same in the US or in China or in Europe. So there's those diversity of morals and values that come into play. But then the people that win are the people who are actually building and um, training this, like building who are leading and pioneering the AI powered technology. And this is the Western world. So there's it's still a conversation. I think there's a lot of conversations around how do we really create, how do we enforce, what do ethics really mean, how do we enforce them, how do we ensure that these AI technologies are actually not biased, they are not um, um, creating certain, like deviating from what is morally right in every environment. But like I said, there's diversity, so diversity is actually very important. So how can we have everyone's voice heard in an environment? I like giving an example of the trolley the trolley problem, where we have uh, a train with two tracks. So on this track, there's one person, and on this other track, there are five people. And there's this guy who has to either deviate the track to where one person is or where five people are. So maybe I'll pass on that question to you. Say you are the say you're at a train station, you're at a train at the railway, right? And there's a train coming. It has no brakes. On one trail, on one track, there's one human being tied to that track. They can't move. On the other track, there are five human beings tied to that track. In that situation, you have the option to divert the train to either track. Um, what do you do?
Obviously, common sense and risk management tells me you go where there's one person, right? So you can save more lives, you can save the five lives.
Yeah, um, which is actually theoretically, yes, that happens. But imagine that one person is your family member or your loved one. That's where now the real conversations come in. Like,
Yeah.
and those five people are people you don't actually know.
mm,
So you think of it from that perspective and say, imagine I have, like, these are people who I don't know. So your human mind, and you're
mm,
acting at impulse, like, I need to get this out there. So you find that in such cases, because they you're being biased in that case. Like, I know this person, I don't know those five people. Let me deal with what I know,
mm,
the knowns, and
mm,
knowns will deal with them later. Maybe they'll survive, or maybe they won't, you know. Or in the case where they survive, the person that I know might think I have, like, there are all those conversations. But in a case where you have a diverse, where everyone is saying, let's serve these five people because of XYZ, and other
mm,
person, let's serve this one person because this person has, there are those conversations that come in where you actually realize that maybe the risk, in terms of risk, you're better off having those five people, um, one person saved and those five people out. That's just like a conversation. That's when you have a diversity of thoughts, because people bring in a
mm,
different way at which they look at things, and it will open up your mind. But in some cases, when you're all think like there's that same people, like lack of diversity, you all skew towards thinking the same way. But it's important to always have someone to steer the waters, someone with a different thought, so
mm,
that more morally or ethical decisions are made. And I think, like I said earlier, it's not the technology, it's more about the people.
mm,
We're the ones who build the
mm,
AI. So at the end of the day, uh, we always blame it on the technology, but it's the people. It's more on the social,
mm,
political side of it, the business side of
mm,
it. So it's,
mm,
are we looking at, are we interested in the, what's the impact on the customer? What's the business impact?
mm,
Would rather have a high profit, a fatter bottom line, and, well, deal with the ethical things later, because whilst we're interested in being good people, our business
mm,
is more like, we are more interested in the business or the value gain that we get out of um, the technology.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
So true. So true. And I'm hoping that going forward, there's going to be a big pushback in terms of just ensuring that diversity is at the center of all these AI programs that are being created. Because currently, as we know, bias is the biggest, I think, is one of the biggest threats. Because if you don't have different perspectives, chances of creating solutions that might even harm, people that are not represented are very high. So, yeah, totally aligned with your viewpoint. Um, Pendo, it's been such a great conversation. I think we need to have another one because there's just so much to unpack when it comes to artificial intelligence, its impact, and just how we can actually navigate, or what we should be doing as society to navigate all these unknown variables, that are coming at us as these programs are being developed at a very fast or exponential speed. So, in conclusion, let's look at who should be concerned about ethics when it comes to artificial intelligence, and why do you think so?
My answer to that question is everyone.
Mm,
So, as long
mm,
as we're all interacting with AI, we're all impacted by its, both the negative and positive outcomes of this technology.
mm,
But to spearhead, that should be, the government should be concerned,
mhm,
business leaders as well,
mhm,
and the major culprits, the developers of the AI itself.
mm,
We need to
mm,
take accountability of the we need to take accountability of the work and the output of the AI. So it
mm,
starts with
mm,
conversations of probing and asking ethical questions and operationalizing ethics in the development of AI. So it's everyone's responsibility. And for everyone else, it also starts with literacy. How can we educate um, those who are interacting with AI about just the basic foundation blocks of what AI really is about, so that they should care actually and know about the technology that they're dealing with and its consequences as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pendo, like I've said, this has been such a fantastic conversation, and you've brought a lot of insights. I'm actually very impressed at your level of reading. You read quite a lot of papers, which is actually very good. And I think a lot of people need to just expose themselves to reading a lot and educating themselves around these matters because, AI is here to stay, like you said, and it will impact our lives. And yeah, hence, anyway, a platform like this where we want to educate and hopefully inspire people to sort of embrace technology, but also learn more about what technology can do and also the downside of what comes with these technologies that are being developed. So yeah, no, I've enjoyed myself, and thank you so much for your time. Yeah, do you have any closing thoughts as we bring this to an end?
No, thank you so much for having me today. And as usual, it's always exciting to speak about technology and also appealing to everyone out there. If you're interested in getting into AI, you could always connect. I'm always open to connecting with others who are interested in data science as well.
Thank you, Pendo. Till we connect again, for now, it's ciao, ciao. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.